Hey guys! Most likely you're here because you've seen this video in Rocky Kanaka's Sitting with Dogs series, where he was sitting with a very emaciated dog at the time known as Bear, the Doberman. And you're here because you want to see an update on how Shadow, which is his new name, is doing in his new forever home. And see the next chapter in his amazing journey. And let me give you guys a little sneak peek of what's to come and what I'll be covering in this video. We are definitely gonna have a lot of fun stuff coming up. The 1000th time I'm telling him he's a good boy. So then there's the almost now infamous debate of his breed. Is he a Vizsla? Is he a Doberman? He is, without a doubt, 100%. They were great together. I went inside to sign the paperwork to adopt him, but so this is the first time I'm doing any kind of non-short video showing Shadow and Sigyn, and for the first time myself. I will also be giving you some updates on some things that a lot of people have been asking about, like his weight, his health, keeping you in the loop on what we have been doing, what we are planning on doing, and giving you some insights into our lives as we go along. It's just absolutely amazing to me that we seem to have a community at this point of people who love my dogs almost as much as I do. And I appreciate that so much, and I am so grateful, and I have tried to think of ways to give back a little. At the end of the video, I've made a little something to give you guys as a token of my appreciation, and I will try to find more ways to give back, and I am very much open to suggestions on how I can do so. So thank you very much. Also, a huge thanks to Rocky Kanaka, obviously, for the amazing work that he does for all of these shelter dogs, and his team as well. Also, a huge thanks to Animal Friends of the Valleys, which is the shelter where Shadow came from. And they did an amazing job with him, which I will also cover in this video. And I am just so thankful for all the amazing work that they do for these dogs. And they deserve a lot of credit, definitely.
Yes, you look good. You look good. Good job. You did good boy. You did good boy. Oh, you feel so handsome now.
All right, so let me introduce you to the little family here. My name is Mats, M-A-T-S, pronounced like the applesauce. I'm originally from Norway. And then there's the 8-year-old puppy, Sigyn, who's a Siberian Husky, and a seasoned Vizsla trainer. She's had a little unruly Vizsla brother for about 4 years, and she does great with him. And I just love seeing their dynamic. They do great together. Case in point, yeah, their dynamic is just wonderful. I love seeing how their relationship is developing. They're doing so great, and Sigyn is such a fantastic big sister to him, and I just love her so much for how well she's doing with him. And she's done such a good job. So her name is Sigyn, or Siggy for short. When I got her, I had another male Siberian Husky, and his name was Loki, and Sigyn is Loki's wife in Norse mythology, so that's how she got her name. So speaking of names, you might be wondering how I ended up on the name Shadow Moon, and he will mostly be going by just Shadow. And there's been some discussion about it. Most people seem to love it. It's mainly from the protagonist of Neil Gaiman's book American Gods, and also a little bit of a nod to the Cat Stevens song Moonshadow. And Moonshadow has some themes about always finding the positive outlook in a really bad situation, so I found that to be really appropriate. And then in Neil Gaiman's novel American Gods, Shadow starts his journey by being released from prison, so that was obviously like a very fitting parallel as well. So before we dive into the most recent updates, let's take a little overview of what happened right after the video you guys probably saw. A lot of you have seen his transformation and given a ton of encouragement and commented on it. And so today I'm just eager to give a update on how he's doing, share what adventures we have been on, share what adventures might be coming up, and give you guys a little more insight. Still treat motivated. Okay, so how did Shadow come into our lives? It was actually not through the video that everyone else had seen, but it was through a Rocky Kanaka video. The first Rocky Kanaka video that I'd seen was of Princess, the German Shepherd. And I just got curious and wanted to see how she was doing, if I could find any updates. So I went on Rocky's website. Then I found Animal Friends of the Valleys, and I looked through what dogs they had to see if I could find Princess on there. And I spot this dog that's this Doberman on their shelter page, and I'm thinking, this looks a whole lot like a Hungarian Vizsla. And I used to have one and was thinking I would love to have another one. And Sigyn had a Vizsla companion, and I know we both really missed having a Vizsla around. I figured he's a Vizsla, not a common dog that people that have them, I was not expecting him to just be abandoned. So I figured he was owner known. He had only been there a few days at that time. So I figured someone's going to go claim him. Like, I'm not going to be able to find a Vizsla in a shelter like that. But I looked at the time and figured, okay, once the 10-day hold is up, which they have to wait for the owners to claim him, or close to that date, I'm going to call them and see if he's still there and see if I can adopt him. And the day that I'm planning on calling them, I turn on my computer and I see on the front page of my YouTube another Rocky Kanaka video, which is watch his reaction as he's called a good boy for the first time. And it had, I think, close to 1 million views at that point. And I watched the video and I saw him and I saw the state he was in, which I hadn't really been able to see clearly from just the shelter photo. So when I saw the state he was in and seeing like the way he acted and thinking that that's not how a Vizsla should react to having a human come into them, and because they are Velcro dogs, they do absolutely love humans. Yeah, it really broke my heart. I really fell in love with him. I was already sure I did want to adopt him, and it was just absolutely cemented after seeing the video. I saw the condition he was in, like, it broke my heart. I definitely want to get him, and even though suddenly there was a lot more competition in getting him, luckily I was still able to get him in the end. Much thanks to his little big sister right here, who did a wonderful job at the meet and greet, and they did so wonderful together. Then me and Sigyn, we went to Animal Friends of the Valleys in Wilmar, California to meet with him. And I went in first and met with him alone, and that went great. So I went and grabbed Sigyn from the car, and then we walked him together. So I walked Sigyn, the shelter staff walked Shadow. That went really good as well. And then we took them inside and let them off leash together in their little courtyard area. And they were running around like crazy, like chasing each other around, like barking at each other, just having a lot of fun and running into each other, almost running into me and the shelter staff. I think the staff was even a little bit worried that he was too much energy, but it's exactly what I wanted, exactly what I expected, exactly how she had been with her previous Vizsla brother. And I wanted her to have a companion that she could run around with, be crazy, like get all that energy out for the both of them. I think they're wonderful together, and seeing their dynamic and seeing how that's developing is just wonderful. They're absolutely amazing together. Yes, you are. You are absolutely amazing, both of you. Yeah, and you're a good boy. You know that? You're a good boy. That is probably like the 1,000th time I'm telling him he's a good boy. You're a good boy. Sleepy boy. Good boy. They were great together. I went inside to sign the paperwork to adopt him, but because I was outside of their jurisdiction, I couldn't bring him home that day because they needed to arrange to have him fixed, and it took a couple of days. Just how the process works is that then, as soon as I signed the paperwork, he was my dog on the condition that I'd pay for his neuter surgery and go and pick him up straight from the vet or straight from the animal hospital. And then the day came when I was able to pick him up.
And we're gonna make sure.
So if you've seen this guy on YouTube, definitely not alone, because this video, last I checked now, it just hit 6 million views. And just crazy to me, like that. And people in the comments are like absolutely loving him. And I took my little girl, you can actually see it right in the mirror right there, to meet him a few days ago, and now I'm about to go pick him up because he has been fixed and is ready for his pickup. So I'll be bringing him home with me, and I'm really excited to give his little sister here a companion. They were so good together. They had so much fun playing. They did great. She was so good with him. I am really proud of her, and I'm looking so much forward to getting this guy home. So in that, I thought he was a Doberman. He is a Hungarian Vizsla. I used to have one before, and I absolutely love the breed. And yeah, I am so happy to go pick him up. And I just got a text from the animal hospital that his surgery went great, and I'll be ready to pick him up as soon as he comes out a little bit of the anesthesia. So I'll be taking a drive to pick up dog formerly known as Bear. What his new name is gonna be, I'm not sure, but he's calling his name right there, and he does not respond to it.
Pretty much immediately, we had a connection. I picked him up. He was, groggy from the surgery, but still seemed pretty alert. So I figured, okay, I'll stop by Petco. I'll get him some toys. Hopefully he'll get a little stimulation and be getting tired and worn out enough that he'd be sleepy for the 2-hour drive back we had. A lot of people saw the video from me bringing him back, and I got a lot of compliments on that video on how much better he looked. And this is why I'm making an effort to thank Animal Friends of the Valleys, because that was the day I picked him up, and obviously it was no credit of mine why he looked the way he did at that point. They did an amazing job in feeding him in a responsible and great way to have him put on weight. So a lot of people watched the video of me bringing him home from the shelter, and what's not shown in the video is that for pretty much the whole time we were driving, he was just nuzzled up in the crook of my elbow right here, and he was in the seat next to me. I had my arm on the center console, and he was just resting his head right on top of my arm for almost the entire ride back. And it was really sweet, and he seemed cozied up and just comforted being like on top of me. And that's, for a Vizsla, that's very typical. They are Velcro dogs. They love to be right on top of you, and they want to be on top of you basically the whole time. And yeah, sometimes we have to fight for bed space at night because he sleeps on the bed with me, and sometimes he will be getting on top of the pillow and stuff. But yeah, we had an instant connection, and it's only been getting stronger ever since then. So for the first few weeks, I posted a lot of updates on Instagram, and hopefully for the future, I'll be able to post more stuff on YouTube and videos and more real world footage of the things we're doing. And especially as soon as I figure out what I want to showcase and what you guys want to see. So please give me your input on that. For the first few weeks, it was a lot of finding creative ways to wear him out without him being too active, because since he had just had his neuter surgery, he wasn't supposed to run around and do crazy stuff and jump around and be like all of the things that young high energy dog is normally doing and what Sigyn wanted to do with him too. So we did a lot of tearing apart toys that I gave him to just let him destroy them, because that was one way of getting energy out. Another thing was walking him a lot on the leash, taking him out to like cafes and along the beach and stuff like that, where he could watch people, he could watch dogs and animals, and he could just get some mental stimulation. And even watching videos on the TV as well. And I let them do some gentle play on the bed because there was no way of stopping them to wanting to play with each other. So they played a bit on the bed as well. But walking them together, I had to keep stopping them from trying to like jump around too much and play with each other. The first couple of weeks were a little bit challenging in that way, that we had to find the balance between getting him stimulated in creative ways and also make sure that he could heal properly from his surgery. So luckily he healed up pretty well, and we've been able to go to the dog park and stuff like that and have a lot more fun, have him run around, have him play like crazy. And I posted a lot of videos of them doing that, and a lot of people have seen it and a lot of people have loved it, and it's a lot of fun to watch them. And I'm trying to share that as much as I can because it gives me joy and it seems to give other people joy as well. That has been amazing to see. And yeah, it was so nice when those first 2 weeks were over and I could just let them be crazy together, which is exactly what they love doing. So then there's the almost now infamous debate of his breed. Is he a Vizsla? Is he a Doberman? A lot of people have been saying he's 100% Vizsla. Some people says he's for sure 100% Doberman. Some people have said he's a liver-nosed, ridgeless ridgeback or something like that. First of all, it does not matter at all. I love him unconditionally, and regardless of his breed. But to get to the question at hand, he is, without a doubt, 100% good boy. Yeah, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Even though there's a dog barking outside, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. But in all seriousness, I had a Vizsla before, and I'm seeing a ton of Vizsla behavior in him, for sure. They have a lot of little, like, quirky behaviors that I've really only seen in, like, Vizslas or dogs of very similar breeds, like Weimaraners or German short-haired pointers, similar breeds to the Vizslas, basically pointer breeds. They have a lot of quirky behaviors that I haven't seen in a lot of other breeds at all. And one of the ways that I found that you can really distinguish between a Vizsla and a Doberman is that a Vizsla has webbed toes, and he has webbed toes. Very distinct webbed toes here. Dobermans do not, so he's definitely not 100% Doberman. But like I said, doesn't matter. I love him regardless of his breed. It would not change anything in terms of, you know, me keeping him, me making a commitment to him at all. Like, he is my dog now. I made that commitment to give him a great life, and he is everything I would have wanted him to be, and he is absolutely an amazing dog, and I love him so much. So speaking of this guy's weight, when at one point at the shelter he was 42 pounds, and then the day I picked him up from the vet, they had weighed him at 57.4 pounds. So that's over 15 pounds that he gained in about 2 weeks at the shelter. So that's why I'm saying they did an amazing job in bringing him back to a really good starting point in terms of his like weight gaining journey. And then I weighed him again at 65 pounds about less than 2 weeks later. So in less than a month, he had gained almost 25 pounds. And I think he's over that now. He is definitely gained like 25 pounds in a month or so. So from 42 to 57 to about 67 pounds, I would say. So he is gaining a lot of weight. And for the first couple of weeks, like I said, he couldn't run around a lot and all that. And now my focus is just feeding him a lot still so he can gain muscle mass back, because obviously, being as skinny as he was, he would have lost some muscle. Yeah, now that he's running around a lot more, he is definitely gaining some muscle back and looking a lot healthier. And that's the main point. And with a Hungarian Vizsla, it's not uncommon, even at a healthy weight, that you see some of their ribs. But obviously, the way he was way too skinny. And right now, he is definitely at a much healthier, much happier weight. So I am so happy to see that, and he has bounced back so quickly. And that has been amazing to watch. So, as for my experience and background, I have had two Huskies. I have had a Vizsla before, and I have mainly had high energy breeds. My first dogs as a kid in Norway were Nova Scotia duck-tailing retrievers, which are also high energy breeds and working dogs. And I've also fostered a severely abused Siberian Husky, so I have had experience with dogs that have come from kind of a rough situation as well. So, speaking of that, I will say that in his behavior, I don't think he has been physically abused. Um, he does not give the signs of like flinching from sudden movements or anything like that. So, I'm trying not to go too deep into or speculating about his past, but I will say that luckily he doesn't seem to be having had physical abuse, and that is a comfort to me to see that, because I know how damaging that can be for a dog, and I've seen that firsthand. And so luckily that's makes things a lot easier. He is very trusting, he is very loving, he is very easy to deal with in those ways. And it is just speculation, but I think that maybe he's just been left out in a yard or something like that. He does not seem to have a lot of experience being around people or other dogs. One of the ways I see that is, for instance, around food. He will try to walk up to people eating and eat their food out of their hand or out of their mouth, which normally a dog would be trained not to do that kind of stuff if they've been in an inside situation. And kind of same with Sigyn, he will walk up and think that he can just eat her food out of her bowl as she's eating it, as if she is not gonna want to defend her food and eat her own food. So that makes me think that maybe he hasn't been around other human beings or other dogs. Funny story about that was that one of the first days when I had fed him his like full 8 cups of the day for dinner, and I had a hot dog sitting on the table that I was gonna eat, and I quickly just pour Sigyn's food in her bowl, and I turn around and my hot dog has just disappeared. That was a nice little after dinner snack for this guy. I guess he figured. So, but with what he's been through, he might be a little like desperate around food for a while, and that's to be expected. And part of getting a shelter dog is that they're gonna have a past and they're gonna have a history, and you might not know what that is, and they're not gonna be able to tell you. So you kind of just gotta figure out and try to be patient about their behaviors in that way. So speaking of that, I would love to be able to put some focus and attention on shelter dogs, and maybe especially high energy dogs. I know, having had huskies for a long time, that they are one of the most abandoned breeds in the US because people love the way they look, but they're not necessarily prepared for the needs of a high energy dog and the amount of exercise, for instance, that they would need. I think that educating people on the needs of the high energy dogs and putting some of that information out there and making people maybe just reconsider if this is the right type of dog for them might help both the people and the dogs and avoid dogs ending up in shelters. Because the reality with the abandonment of huskies is that there was a huge spike after Game of Thrones because of the dire wolves, that people wanted wolf looking dogs. And they did not realize that a husky has very high energy and needs to have that energy exerted. And if you get a high energy dog and you're not prepared to take care of those high energy needs, you're going to get a dog that has behavioral issues and is probably going to bring those out by being destructive, or they're going to be whining a whole lot, or just problematic in one way or another. So I think that doing whatever you can to make sure that people know what they're getting themselves into with a high energy breed, and the people that do end up adopting them are prepared for those specific needs, I think is a very important part of the adoption process. And I think one of the hardest things that you can see is a dog that has been in a shelter for a while that gets adopted and then gets returned again. That's really heartbreaking to see. And I think that happens because people have the best intentions and they fall in love with how a dog looks, but they don't know the specific needs of the breed. I'm not gonna say that, someone's to blame for making that quote unquote mistake, but the more information people have in terms of being able to find the right dog for them, I think the better it is, and the more likely we are to see even more successful adoption stories out there. So that's what I'm hoping to see, and that is something I would like to focus on, and I hope I can make somehow a positive impact on that, and hopefully build a community where we can work together to do something to help that. If all that comes out of this is just getting a few more dogs out of shelters and into loving homes, that is amazing. And obviously, high energy dogs have a special place in my heart, like bigger dogs. But I used to dog walk. I have always loved animals and dogs, all kinds of dogs, all kinds of breeds, sizes. I would just love to see more animals out of shelters and into loving homes. When it comes to that, I think that with his story, being in the state he was, being probably a dog that a lot of people would walk by because he was so hidden in the corner, I think he could be an amazing ambassador for shelter dogs, and especially the ones that aren't necessarily the ones that come running up to you and isn't a puppy. So, like older dogs, more shy dogs, the ones that might have been abused, all of that, that if you give these dogs a chance, you might have the best dog in the world, and you're going to have the most devoted dog in the world. And I know I'm saying a lot about how people should make the right choices about having dogs, that people maybe need to reconsider what dogs they are getting. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't get a dog from a shelter. I just think you need to find the right dog for you. And if you are prepared to give a shelter dog a better life, I believe 100% there is a perfect dog for you in a shelter somewhere just waiting for you to rescue them. They do take work, but I will say from my experience, the work you put in, you get back in love and affection like tenfold. So it is so worth it. And please consider adopting a dog for your next dog. Yeah, let's see if we can get more people to adopt. I don't necessarily want to be focusing on just feel good and happy stuff. I want to focus on what I've been talking about right now as well. But we are definitely gonna have a lot of fun stuff coming up as well. And so let's get to the fun part. What's coming up ahead? I want to do a lot of adventures with these guys. I want to do some traveling, sailing, hiking, going to parks, going to beaches, just showing these guys, being them like wonderful selves and playing around, having fun, having the best life they possibly can, and to share that with you guys. And I want to, like I said, have this be a community of people who want the best for these dogs in particular, but also rescue dogs and all that in general. And to be a community, I obviously need to listen to you guys' input as well, which I am absolutely 100% open to. So I would love for you guys to send me messages, give me comments, tell me in any way you can, or just show your support and let me know what you want to see. And I will do my best to deliver what you guys want to see, what you guys want me to do, and to try to find ways together that we can give back as a community. That would be absolutely amazing. And as I said before, it wasn't because of the video of him that he got adopted. It was because of the video of Princess that I found him and wanted to adopt him. But that doesn't mean that the video of him didn't cause a lot of good, because I'm sure, and I have seen that a lot of people said they decided to donate their time, donate their money, go and volunteer at their shelter, and do a lot of good things, or even be convinced that the next dog they're going to get is a shelter dog based on the video of him. And in the same way, I want to use this as an opportunity to make a positive impact and spread awareness about shelter dogs, high energy dogs, and shelter animals in general, and hopefully make a positive impact. Any awareness, any happy story like this, or anything that draws people attention to shelter dogs will get more dogs adopted, directly or indirectly. So I'm so grateful for all the positive feedback I've been getting, and I would love for you guys' thoughts, suggestions. How can we give back with these guys? And I don't want to only just share the adventure, but I want this to be a continued place to share the love for these guys and shelter dogs in general. And I would love to hear your ideas. What do you want to see? What questions do you have? Put it down in the comments, send me a message. I'll make sure to go in and read it and take it all into consideration. What do you want to see? Specific adventures? Do you want me to do like live videos, Q&As? I would love your guys' input. And I'm brand new at this whole social media thing. I'm figuring it out as I'm going along, and I definitely want to give back and try to give you guys what you want. So please give me your feedback. That would be greatly appreciated. I'll be working on my filming, my editing, and all the stuff to get more actual footage out in the real world instead of just me sitting here talking about the dogs. Obviously, my first priority will always be these guys and their happiness and what's best for them. But I will promise you that I'll be as honest as I possibly can and show the reality of having like high energy dogs, the good and the bad. And I think that showing the honest reality will ultimately like lead to more happy adoption stories in the end. Tell me about your dogs. Tell me about your pets. Tell me what brought you here. What made you fall in love with this guy? Like, I love to hear that. I love to see that. It's been so amazing reading all the like love and support for him. And yeah, please keep sharing that. It's been such a driving factor for me to do this stuff, and I just love reading all your like positive messages and seeing all this love. Like, it's absolutely amazing. So thank you. So if you got all the way to the end of me just sitting here rambling on about my dogs, then first of all, thank you so much for your patience. And I will promise to make more videos that have more actual contents of the dogs in the future. And if you want to see more of this, more of what's to come, more of the fun stuff that's coming up, please like click any of these buttons underneath here, like the like, share, subscribe, whatever applies. Click the bell if you want to be notified about any new videos I put out. And that should help me be able to keep doing this stuff in the future. Build a community, which is ultimately what I would love to do here. And you guys are all amazing, and I appreciate you all so much. And I promised you guys that I had a little something that to give back to you guys. So for the last few weeks, I've taken a ton of pictures of Sigyn and Shadow, and I have put together a little 2024 calendar for you guys that you can go to my website at huskyvishla.com. I'll put the link in the description where you can sign up for the email list, get the calendar emailed to you, and also get future updates. Find all the way that you can follow us on different platforms, ways to contact me. I'll try to find a few other fun things to put on there. Maybe I'll put up some blooper reels or behind the scenes footage and stuff like that. So if you go to huskyvishla.com, you will find that all the love and support we've been getting has been a huge factor here in giving me the drive to do this. And let's see if we can get more animals out of shelters and into loving homes. And you guys are all amazing. So thank you.